Hey, Shalom, Yasharala. Shalom. Before I begin this lesson, I want to give all glory, honor, and praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachakwadash. I want to give double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, from whom I learned this truth. And I want to say Shalom to the hopeful elect out there, scattered abroad, wherever you might be. Okay? This is Micah 2 and 10. Arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest. Because it is polluted, it shall destroy you, even with a sore destruction. All right? And that's this land that we live in, Babylon the Great, man. All right? Which has basically poisoned the minds of the people. And not just the minds of the people, but also our food supply. Okay? And that's what this video is going to be about. It's about this horrible food that we eat here in Babylon. And really, it's starting to spread throughout the world because, as the scriptures say, Babylon has been a golden cup in the Lord's hand and has made the nations drunk with her wine. And the wine is symbolic of her philosophies, okay? So the philosophies of this wicked land called America and Babylon is basically, this extreme capitalism of just make a quick buck no matter what. Doesn't matter who you fuck over, doesn't matter how many people suffer and die at your hands, just so you can make one more penny than the next guy. Okay, that's the mindset that this wicked ass nation has. Okay, and we're gonna grab another scripture. This is Ezekiel chapter 4 and verse 13. All right, and not to mention the last scripture is also going into, the air, the water, everything has been polluted, okay? So even breathing the air you breathe is destroying your health, okay? So, we can't control all of these factors, but the one thing that we really do have a lot of control over is the food, all right? What choices of food we put in our body, okay? And even then, there's going to be some poisons that get into your body, right? But we can at least learn and educate ourselves in order to minimize the amount of poison that we're ingesting. Okay, this is Ezekiel chapter 4 and verse 13. And Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai said, even thus shall the children of Israel eat their defiled bread among the Gentiles, whither I will drive them. Okay, pursuant to Deuteronomy the 28th chapter, the Lord said he was going to, drive us into all these other nations, okay, where the Gentiles will rule over us, okay? And, as it says here, we're going to be eating our defiled bread among the Gentiles, man, okay? You can look at, the food that we eat and understand that it is highly toxic, okay? Even, food that might, because we keep the dietary law, okay, here in, those who agree with Great Millstone and those who are part of Great Millstone, okay, we know the scriptures tell us to keep the law to the best of our ability. So we don't eat pork, shrimp, crab, lobster. We don't eat any of those abominable meats. However, in a lot of your food, they are slipping pork into it. And it's a lot of times it's very hard to know. Okay, like you can look at cheese, for example, and you can look at an ingredient that says enzymes. And if you look it up, those enzymes can be made from either pork or beef, but it's not specified which one you're getting in that block of cheese that you just bought. Okay, so you have to do research on these individual companies that sell this cheese and try to understand, is this enzyme from pork or is it from cow? Or is it vegetable enzymes? Because sometimes they make it out of vegetable. You see? So it's very difficult out here, okay? And not to mention just that, okay, you're also going to be getting chemicals in your food, okay? Let's start with this example here. All right, any of you brothers in this truth, I recommend you don't even go to this place under any circumstances, okay? Now, yeah, shit happens, whatever, okay? But the point is to avoid as much as possible, avoid, especially this cheap garbage, man. All right, you can go to a bar and get a burger, with a quarter of the ingredients is what this has. Okay, there's a lot of nasty ingredients in here, which, I don't want to make this video too long. I want to get to a point. The point of this video is to show you to avoid vegetable oils, high fructose corn syrup, okay, and any other artificial chemicals. But the big two, all right, is vegetable oils, all right, which cause cancer, heart attacks, inflammation of your body, brain, joints. Okay, it's really the cause of most people's health issues is vegetable oil. Number one, which is a lie. The word vegetable oil is a lie itself, because there's no such thing as vegetable oil. It's seed oils. Okay, they get the seed from these plants and they process them heavily and add plastics and chemicals into this oil. This oil you're eating is pure toxic waste. Okay? So anybody eating vegetable oils, and yeah, soybean oil counts as vegetable oil. All right, you need to stop eating that oil. All right? And number two is high fructose corn syrup, which is a fake sugar. All right? It is sugar. I say it's fake sugar because, all right, it's made, the same way this vegetable oil is. It's a very highly processed form of sugar that, in nature, sugar is just cane sugar. You get it from a cane plant, and that's it. You just grind it up into sugar, whatever, or you might have to heat it up or whatever. But this high fructose corn syrup is extremely processed and it's toxic, okay? So let's just start up here. Big Mac bun, all right? We know that a burger is just flour, water, yeast, salt, sugar, right, for the bun, right? And then beef for the burger, all right? And then you got lettuce, tomatoes, blah, blah, blah. And then the sauce. Okay, that should be like 10 ingredients, right? But no, how many we got here? All right? Enriched flour, wheat flour, barley flour, niacin, iron, thiamine, mononitrate, riboflavin, folic acid, water, yeast, sugar, soybean oil. And that's just the bun, okay? Actually, there's more. Contains 2% or more or less. Salt, wheat, gluten, sesame seeds, potato flour. May contain one or more dough conditioners. Datum, which I've heard about datum, is very toxic. And that's a new ingredient they're adding now. They started adding that to Rice Krispies treats, I believe, not too long ago. Ascorbic acid, mono and diglycerides, which really this is just vegetable oil, but what they do is they, after they create it, they split the molecules and turn it into mono and diglycerides. So they already have vegetable oil here. Then they get a separate thing of vegetable oil, and then they split the molecules, and then they add that also. And then enzymes, which can mean anything. You see how vague that is? That's probably pork. Okay? All that for a bun. All right? The beef patty. All right, here we go. Vinegar, 100% beef patty. And look how they capitalized the word beef patty. That means they did something to it, man. All right? They capitalized beef patty. 100% pure USDA inspected beef, no fillers, no extenders, prepared with grilled seasoning, salt, black pepper, shredded lettuce, Big Mac sauce. And here's the sauce. Soybean oil. See? All right? And not only is vegetable oil bad for you, but soybean oil has been shown to have a feminizing effect on men. All right? Sweet relish, high fructose corn syrup. All right? Corn syrup. All the bullshit, right? But then you got gums, xanthan gum, calcium chloride, spice extractors, water, egg yolks, still vinegar, spices, onion powder, propylene glycol alginate, garlic powder. Vegetable protein, hydrolyzed corn, soy, and wheat, sugar, caramel color, right? So all this stuff in red is the really bad ingredients, but even some of the other ingredients are bad as well. All right? Processed American cheese, right? Alum, potassium sorbate, preservative, natural flavors, which that's, again, very vague. They could abort a fetus from a baby and put that in there, and then it would count as natural flavors, which there was a whole theory about how that happened with Coca-Cola and a bunch of other companies, all right? Which wouldn't surprise me if that was true. Polysorbate 80, right? Which is a fake color, I believe. I'm not sure, but it's probably bad for you because ain't nothing in nature called polysorbate 80, right? That sounds like something made in a lab, all right? And of course, you got other bad ones like yellow 40 or red 40 and shit like that, but that's not in this burger. Nevertheless, this is very toxic poison. Don't eat this, Yasharala, okay? Your enemy, Esau Edom's so-called white man and his wicked elites, the international banking families, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the Gettys, the Bloombergs, and many more, okay, of these upper echelon elites, trillionaires that print money and own this world. Okay, they're the ones who have poisoned your food and are going to war against you, Israelites, to destroy you, okay, which can be found in the book of Psalms, chapter 83. All right. But without any further ado, I want to show you guys some videos of, you know, some of this stuff and some of this stuff that you wouldn't believe. Okay. This is how vegetable oil is made. So before we go into this, I want to show you what vegetable oil is. A lot of you may not even know what is vegetable oil. Okay, these are the 8 industrial seed oils to avoid the damaging your health, right? Canola oil is the big one. That's in everything, all right? Potato chips, snacks, candies, okay? Soybean oil, feminizing, all right? Corn oil, sunflower oil, cottonseed oil, safflower oil, grapeseed oil, rice bran oil, and many more oils. Palm oil is another one, right? Mono and diglycerides, that's just this, but broken up. They break it up and they do something to it for whatever reason. Really is to fuck you up. This is kid foods, all right? So now you can see why our kids can't understand shit at school. That's why they got ADHD, because you people are feeding them this poisons, man. And those oils go into their body and it's fucking up their brain. Why is it fucking up their brain? Let me show you something. All right, brain facts. The brain has the highest level of cholesterol than any other organ in the body. And what do they tell you? Don't eat cholesterol, right? What is the highest cholesterol food? Okay? A perfectly natural, healthy food is called eggs, man. Okay? And they tell you to avoid it, which is a fucking lie, man. This is great for your brain, good for your balls, it's good for manhood. This is a powerhouse food, man. All right? All you brothers should be eating eggs. All right? Cooked in butter, not vegetable oil. Okay? Now, let's go back to this illustration. It says, the brain has the highest level of cholesterol than any other organ in the body. Good animal dietary fats are essential for brain health, right? Like butter, okay, the fats that are naturally occurring in certain meats. Every meat has a little bit of fat in it, all right, which the Lord has created it that way because you need it, all right? 60% of the brain is fat, okay? The brain is only 2% of the body's weight, but contains over 20% of the body's cholesterol, right? And it's 60% fat. So guess what? If you got to get your fat from somewhere, right? But if your kids are eating this is where they're getting their fat from. So basically, they're getting 100% fake fats. Here, they're getting 100% this. You see, your body does not recognize these. Okay, and that's the video that I wanted to show you. So now that you know what it is and where it is, all right, it's in everything. Okay, now let's watch the video and it's going to make a lot of sense, Yasharallah. Baba Kushah, this is a must-watch video. All right, if you don't know about this stuff. All right, let's watch this. This is how they make this is how you can make it at home. Why I would not recommend you to make it at home, but I'm saying this is how this guy made it at home, all right? And the way he makes it is even less crazy than the way they make it at factories. But it's just an example of how this poison is made, all right? So I'm going to play the video.
We got some organic sunflower seeds. I don't know why we got organic. That's the only thing I could find. But it's not going to be so organic when we pour. Well, you'll see. Anyway, the first step is to grind these. We want a large surface area. This is the part where we need to add some harsh chemicals. Usually hexane is used. Hexane is a petroleum-based nasty poison. I'm not gonna bring hexane into my house.
You see, hexane is a petroleum-based poison. Where do they get petroleum? All right, that's from crude oil. The same stuff they make gasoline and plastic out of. All right, let's continue.
Be insane to do it. I'm gonna use 99% isopropyl alcohol. So we left it overnight to filter, and this is everything we yielded. Looks nasty, but I can see some oil. To evaporate it safely, we have a double boiler, so water, Pyrex, and our solution on low heat. We have the vent going in full force, and we have an air filter. Steamed out the alcohol, and we're left with pure seed oil, but we're not done yet. Production, they add bleach to it to improve the color, to remove some unwanted compounds.
Okay, so when it's done, all right, there's still unwanted compounds, a terrible smell, and it's an ugly color. So what do? They add bleach in order to make it appealing to the masses, so it looks good. You see? So it smells good. All right? But it doesn't get rid of those chemicals, man.
Let's add some bleach. We only need a tiny bit because we have, well, this much oil. This is the color that we have with the bleach. This is more resembling of seed oils that we used to see on the shelf. Believe it or not, we're not done yet. Now we need to deodorize it, and that means heating it up to 400 degrees for a few hours under vacuum, extreme pressure, steam, all of.
You see? Vacuum, extreme pressure, and 400 degrees for several hours. All right, in order to deodorize it, right? Because there's a terrible smell, okay? Because it's completely unnatural. So now, after they goes through all that heat, guess what? The seed oils break down, all right? Because you're not supposed to heat oil past a certain point. There's a smoking point, all right? You can read about smoking point of certain oils, all right? Well, every vegetable oil that you buy at the store is already burned, man. It's already, broken down into other things, man. All right, so let's continue.
To remove any smell of the bleach of the entire chemical process. Here is a store-bought sunflower oil for comparison, and here is our homemade one.
Boom!
Hey
You see
everyone,
that?
big heads up,
So
Gillian
now,
Valley's running.
fucking ads. Anyway, so hey, you see that? So basically, right there, you saw how they made it, man. Now let's go back here, and I want you to understand your body needs fats, okay? But it's supposed to be healthy fats. Let me Salakia. I'm all over the place, but it's because this is a very deep topic, and throughout the years I've been obsessed with my health, okay, and I've made these changes, and I do notice a huge difference, okay, but it's not always the easiest topic to understand or to explain to somebody that doesn't know. So I'm assuming you brothers watching might have no idea what I'm talking about, so that's why I want to make sure that I'm explaining it the right way, if that makes sense. Okay, so this is going to be the best fat you can get, pretty much. This is 100% grass-fed organic butter. Okay, so it's basically fat from milk. Okay, where does milk come from? From a cow. All right, it doesn't get any more natural than that. And all you do is you separate the fat from the milk. All right, and you can do that by just getting milk, adding lemon to it, and then you wait. You mix it up, and then you separate the fat from the milk like that. I mean, this is a completely natural process. Okay, you don't got to heat it up to 1,000,000 degrees and add bleach. All right, so this is just a basic, if you go to Walmart, you can find, maybe not this brand. I believe they got, Kerrygold butter, and they got other brands as well that have, grass-fed. All right, that's going to be the best fat you could put in your body because it comes from a grass-fed cow. Now you might ask, well, what does that have to do with anything? Well, here's another thing I got to explain, all right, because this is how wicked Esau, Edom, the so-called white man is, all right? He doesn't even feed cows their natural diet. He feeds them corn instead of grass. So the butter comes out fucked up if you eat regular butter. Now, don't get me wrong, regular butter is still better than vegetable oils that are in these foods, okay? So yeah, you can, if you can't afford grass-fed, buy the regular butter, all right? But honestly, I would say just pay the extra couple dollars more to buy the real shit, because it's, like the scriptures say, uh, health is worth infinite, something like that. Let's get that. All right. This is Sirach chapter 30 and verse 15. Health and good estate of body are above all gold, and a strong body above infinite wealth. So yeah, man, if you got to spend your last dollar to buy real food, it's better than saving that money up for, for some other bullshit. You might as well spend a little bit more and get the real butter, okay? So yeah, man, grass-fed butter. Okay, but where do we get our fats if we have children? This is what you're giving them. You're giving them fats. You're giving them these foods thinking, oh, well, my kids get to eat. They can live off this stuff, and, they'll be fine, But at the end of the day, what you're doing is you're taking something completely unnatural like we saw, and this is going to be making up how much? Let's get it again. 60% of your child's brain. You see? And they're going to have low cholesterol because there's no cholesterol in these foods. You want cholesterol, you're going to have to eat some eggs. Okay? And a lot of people are afraid to eat eggs because of the lies that have been said, man. So that's what you need to do for you and for your kids, man. You need to eat eggs, and you need to replace all these fake foods with real food. Okay, let me get it. Okay, it's called meal prepping. You buy food. So you might ask, what type of food should I buy then, brother, if everything is full with these toxins? Well, what you need to do is go to your meat aisle and buy real meat. Go to the produce aisle and buy real produce, vegetables, and fruits in their raw forms. All right? Meats, vegetables, and fruits in their raw forms, and you need to cook a meal. That's how you do it. You need to cook a meal, all right? And if you want fat on your meal, you want it to taste good, don't put no nasty-ass vegetable oils. Put grass-fed organic butter, okay? Which here are some of the benefits of it. It's a great source of butyrate, all right, which is a short-chain fatty acid that improves gut health and reduces inflammation. This is a naturally occurring thing in the butter, all right, because, the Lord has created these things with the perfect balance. But what does Esau do? He wants to remove all the nutrients to make a quick dollar. And also, it's a purposeful war against our people, to keep our people stupid, man. All right? Look in the ghetto and see if they're selling grass-fed butter at the store. They're not, man. You got to go to a white neighborhood, so-called white neighborhood, to buy this type of butter. All right? Yep, and the butter contains vitamins D and K too. Okay. It's got more omega-3 fats. Okay, what are omega-3 fats? Omega-3 fats are the fats that are present in cows that are eating grass. All right, so if they don't eat grass, they eat corn instead, the way Esau wants it to be, to make a quick dollar. Guess what? Your butter comes out all omega-6 with no balance of omega-3s and omega-6s in it. You see, so it develops this one-sided approach, this one-sided butter. This is omega-6s, okay? But to get a balanced butter, the cow has to eat grass, and you'll get the omega-3s and omega-6s will be in perfect balance, all right? Which most of your brain's fats is, there you go, omega-3s. Let's get it. Right here, DHA comprises over 90% of the brain's N3-PUFAs and 10% to 20% of its total lipids. Right. So if you're not getting omega-3s in your diet, you're going to have bad brain development. You're going to have brain fog. You're going to be, ADHD and all that. Okay? And again, this stuff is in everything, man. Okay? So you got to pretty much avoid all this food here. And you got to go straight to the basics. Back to the basics. Buy the raw meat, raw vegetables, and raw fruit and cook it at the house with butter. Okay? And there's nothing wrong with using olive oil on your salads. or putting olive oil on your food also, because olive oil. But you got to make sure you buy the olive oil that's cold pressed. You got to make sure that they don't do nothing to that olive oil, like they do with these nasty vegetable oils. Okay, so buy the organic, natural olive oil, and you can sprinkle that on your salads or whatever. Okay, that's great. Okay, this is how we got to eat, Yasharallah. We have to eat this way. All right. Like the elder apostle Gabar has been saying in all his videos recently, we got to get comfortable being uncomfortable, man. And it is uncomfortable to cook like this because you got to do everything yourself. You got to go buy it, pick out the food, come up with a meal plan, execute it, and then put them on different containers. All right, and basically you got to eat the same food every day unless you want to make multiple meals. Which, me personally, I don't give a fuck. I'll eat the same food for 4 or 5 days, and then I'll switch and eat another food for another 4 or 5 days. Because honestly, that's the most time efficient way, bro. I'm not gonna sit there cooking 5 different meals for 5 different days, man. You know, and yeah, we do gotta microwave it because we're in captivity. And Esau Edom, he doesn't prioritize health, so you get your 30-minute breaks at work unpaid. Your little 2 15-minute breaks. We do what we gotta do. All right, but I promise you, brothers, if you eat like this, or I guess I shouldn't say I promise, right? Let your yay be nay, yay be yay, your nay be nay. So I'm just gonna tell you straight up, if you eat like this, all right, you're gonna feel the difference is gonna be night and day than when you eat like this. All right, and there's a particular brother I've been telling this to in the truth who's kind of a younger brother. And he doesn't really understand that, and he's been bugging out, which that's not gonna make you of the elect if you eat certain foods. That's not gonna change anything. But the point being, he's been having a lot of ADHD and he's not able to focus or read. Well, this right here is gonna make a big difference. Okay. Hey, I'm not perfect. Sometimes I'll eat junk food, right? But more and more, I'm starting to make my own foods, man. Like I made homemade cookies last night, which again, that's not healthy either because there's sugar and that's more of a one-time thing, But the bulk of your diet needs to be, good healthy proteins, vegetables, all right. That should be the bulk of your diet, okay. But fat is definitely nothing wrong with fat. That's a misconception, all right? A lot of people say, well, you got to eat meat and vegetables, bland. No, man, you could put butter in there. Ain't no problem. Actually, that's better for you because your body can't break down protein without fats. Your body can't break down vitamins and minerals to use them without fats, okay? But most people get the wrong type of fats. So, that's why I'm focusing so much on fats with this video, okay? Another thing, because the meats that we buy at the store are not always organic, you're going to have to buy fish oil, okay? Now, make sure you buy a brand that doesn't have shellfish or abominable fish in it because that's a sin, okay? You want to buy fish oil that's made from salmon or something like that. And the reason is because our bodies are unbalanced when it comes to fat. We have too much omega-6, but not enough omega-3. And why is that? Because Esau Edom, the so-called white man, he feeds these animals a 100% corn diet, which a lot of these animals, they're not supposed to eat corn. Like, for example, cows, they're not supposed to eat corn. They're supposed to eat grass, all right? Same thing with chickens. They feed the chickens pellet food like it's a dog, but the chicken's supposed to go out there and eat worms and corn and a bunch of random things, That's what chickens eat, and, they will be more heavy on omega-3s. But because Esau Edom has done everything just to make a quick buck, the animal comes out with too much omega-6 and not enough omega-3s, and then you eat that animal, and now you're unbalanced, okay? And then also, if you're not, if you're eating out a lot at restaurants, you're pretty much getting pure seed oils in your diet. So, all the fat in your brain, all the fat in your cells pretty much is this sludge, this toxic sludge. Right? And this is why you feel like shit. This is why you can't lose weight. This is why you have joint pain, because these oils And you can do this for an experiment. Those of you that like to cook, all right, when you're eating home cooked meals, you feel great. But when you eat restaurant food for a few days, you notice your joints start to hurt, your face starts to get red a little bit, all right? Or you start to get inflammation, your face starts to puff up. What is that? That's inflammation, because these oils cause inflammation in your body, all right? Your body starts breaking down, okay? Inflammation is basically a slow killer of most people. And think about it this way. If your body is becoming inflamed, what do you think is happening to your hearts? Do you think that might be the cause of heart attacks? Okay? So yeah, Yashara, this right here is the worst poison. All right, this right here is basically an act of war against our people. Okay? This is the worst thing that has ever happened in the food industry, is these toxic oils. And this is a long overdue video, and this might end up being an hour. But I recommend every brother that's feeling like shit physically to watch this. Okay? This is a very important video. All right? This is from years of me collecting this information, because I've actually, not only have I collected the information, I've applied it. Right? I even went on the keto diet for 2 years straight, a long time ago. And I was able to lose 50 pounds and keep it off for a long time before I started, bullshitting. This was back when I was in the world. I started, drinking and eating out a lot. But before I fell off the keto diet, I was in a very healthy state, man. I had no inflammation. I felt like I got 5 years younger. I think I was 20 years old, 23. I was 23 and I felt like a teenager. And when I was 19, I had horrible pain in my joints, man. And that's what caused me to start learning about these things, because I thought, man, if I feel this bad at 19, by the time I'm 30, I'm going to be in a wheelchair. All right. And there's a lot of young people in this generation that they're worse off than old men. All right. And people don't understand that. They think that, this generation is just lazy, which it is lazy, but at the same time, the toxins in the food have built up to such a point where people's brains ain't working properly. People's body is not working properly. And so, especially the Israelites, because what purpose do you think, the wicked elite of Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, what purpose did he have to make those oils, put those oils in everything, right? The purpose was, as Psalms, the 83rd chapter says, to keep Israel in a low vibration. Okay, who is Israel? The Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians. Okay, which to bring me to my second point here, I want y'all to watch this video of this guy. All right, he's making a sarcastic remark saying, I was wrong. Processed foods, seed oils, and sugars are good for you, right? Which obviously they're not. But he's making his point because, some paid off doctor was trying to say that, oh no, processed food's actually good for you. All right, which, that's how they got y'all, man. Because when seed oils and fake butter called margarine became popular, I believe in the 1940s, it's because of doctors coming together and lying and saying, oh, it's better than butter, it's healthier, and all this stuff. Saturated fats and meats are bad for you. But really, it was all made up so they could sell these oils, these toxic oils, which are cheap to make, but they can make a giant profit off of it. And this guy goes into it. So I'm just going to go ahead and play it from the beginning, and we'll take it from there.
Internal medicine physician. Welcome to another video. How corruption and ideological capture makes you and your family very sick indeed. When we're talking about things like this, topics of this magnitude, it's often good to draw upon real-world examples as they happen. And we had an interesting and somewhat amusing, it shouldn't be funny, but it was a bit funny, example within the last few days that I would like to share with you. And one of the good things about living in 2024 is that in the era of social media, the complete nonsense which is proliferated by the establishment and the mainstream media can often be called out very quickly. And this is a classic example. Let me share what happened with you. Well, within the last couple of days, we had an article published in Time, which used to be a very well-respected publication. And it was titled, What if ultra-processed foods aren't as bad as you think? Did you all hear that? One of the most toxic things about modern day living, which is causing a health catastrophe. I've talked about this at length before. Time magazine is asking if it's really as bad as we think. Seriously? Did they really just say that? Let's have another look and make sure we actually saw that. What if ultra-processed foods aren't as bad as you think? Well, what if laying down in front of a crocodile isn't as bad as you think it could be? Where on earth would a headline like this come from? When you delve into the article, it's all about how one dietitian, who I will come to in a bit, is insisting that everybody might be wrong. Maybe ultra-processed foods, which she seems to be a fan of, aren't that bad at all. Well, anyway, this headline caused an online sensation in the social media community, especially the health and wellness community, quite right too. And there was a lot of pushback. And later the same day, Time quietly changed the title of this article. So that original headline then became, "Why One Dietitian is Speaking Up for Ultra-Processed Foods." So even Time magazine realized that that original headline was absolutely not acceptable. The dietitian in question is a certain dietitian called Jessica Wilson. So I did do my own research into this one dietitian. Who is she? What dietitian in the world would be advocating for ultra-processed foods? It's a bit like a lung specialist advocating for people to smoke. What's going on? What other agendas are involved? Has she been paid by a company to say this, to vouch for ultra-processed foods? That's often...
Exactly, yeah. So there's a lot of people being paid off, or I would say people that were paid off, especially when these vegetable oils and, you know, all these different ingredients in your food, and you know, like for example, certain foods, they'll have that heart label, like those cereals you buy at the store. It says it's good for your heart, but if you read the ingredients of the cereal, all right, they put vegetable oil in it, or should I say seed oils, right? They put all types of chemicals in it, artificial colors in it. You see? So, you know, doctors were paid off, people were paid off, you know, government officials were paid off, all types of celebrities, to make these commercials to demonize natural food and to prop up the artificial sludge that Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, wants to push on the Israelites first and foremost. All right. So let's continue.
way things work. And going back in history, particularly in the United States, you can often find a money trail. The same thing happened back in the 1960s with Harvard scientists and the New England Journal of Medicine, which was then and still is today a terribly compromised publication. They were paid by this Sugar Research Foundation to blame heart disease on saturated fats instead of sugars. But
exactly, yep. So that's another misconception, is that fats, like, you know, eating a lot of red meat and stuff like that causes heart disease. Well, really, that's not true, man, because the Lord, you know, told us that red meat is a clean meat, or specifically beef, which comes from cows, right? And, you know, venison, which is deer, okay? Lamb, sheep, those are clean meats. So, you know, there's nothing wrong with those meats. That's not going to cause heart disease. But what really causes it is all those inflammatory ingredients. Number one is that vegetable oil. And number two, excess in sugars. Okay, especially that high fructose corn syrup, which is present in all these processed foods as well. Okay, that's what destroys your heart, not butter and beef. Okay, so let's continue. Oh, Salaki, I muted it by accident.
Fats instead of sugars. But anyway, I digress. Let's look into Jessica Wilson. Well, here's her website, Jessica Wilson, dietitian, author, and speaker. And she's all about viewing things through the lens of her race as an African-American woman. She talks about how food and nutrition are complex. Critical thinking is necessary. Well, this is always something that the establishment itself tries to do, take something that is actually very simple and say it's very complex.
You see that? A so-called African-American. She's in the same class as P. Diddy and all these, you know, rappers. They're out here. They took a bag from Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. to destroy our people, right? Because the whole point of all this toxic food is really to get into the bodies of Jakes, okay? Because if you look in the hood, you don't have health food stores where you have alternatives, okay? In the hood, it's all these big corporate brands, and that's all you get to eat. All you get to eat. I'm gonna show y'all again. All right, if you from the hood, which I lived in the hood the first 13 years of my life, hey, this is what you get to eat in the hood. Okay? This is what you get to eat. All right? You don't get to eat, things like this. All right? You want this, you got to go to a white neighborhood and go to their grocery stores. All right? So, Lakia, let's go back to the video.
To talk about critical thinking there is really quite something. So her site does talk about the fact that she is a consultant. So the question is, what exactly has she been paid to consult on? Have any ultra-processed food companies paid her? So I did do a bit more research, and initially it wasn't easy to find whether Jessica Wilson had been paid as a consultant by any processed food company. So if anyone else out there wants to do some research, please feel free to do so. But I would ask Jessica Wilson herself, seeing an article like this in a major publication, to totally come clean. Have you received any funding from the food industry? And if you have, then this is a terrible indictment of publications like Time magazine. But whether or not she has received any money from Big Food, the question still remains, why would Time want to produce an article like this, seeing as they have previously published articles on the dangers of ultra-processed foods? And I would hazard a guess that they're also trying to look at this through the lens of race, and that is why Time magazine wanted to publish an article like this. Let me tell you this for anyone who is watching overseas. In the United States, fewer communities are more devastated by cheap, ultra-processed, addictive foods than minority communities. What is happening is absolutely awful, with soaring rates of obesity, type 2 diabetes.
You see? It says Black and Hispanic Americans at higher risk of hypertension, diabetes, obesity. Time to fix our broken food system. See? And that's the reason, man. That's why they sent that so-called African American woman. All right? Just like when they want our people to start killing each other on the street, they send these rappers to go ahead and get in our head and put bullshit in our head. The same way they sent this so-called African American doctor to keep our people in a dumbed down state, man. But it ain't working no more, man. Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua has raised up his men, and we're out here exposing you, Esau, and there's nothing you can do about it, man. All these things that have been hidden for so many years are coming into the light.
Inflammatory diseases, these people get hooked on pharmaceutical products very early, which often they end up taking for life. So what could be a bigger issue for these communities than the push to try to get ultra-processed foods away from them, to try to lobby the US government to have the right policies at the top, which reduce the ridiculous subsidies that are in place to get things like corn syrup to people, food stamps, and the types of foods that are approved under those types of schemes, inevitably really bad, highly processed foods. Why not address those issues instead of trying to pretend in some weird parallel universe that ultra-processed foods are not that bad? Ultra-processed foods are probably the worst thing to happen to humanity in terms of sheer numbers of people getting sick, lives lost. Probably worse than either World War I or World War II in terms of casualty numbers, and I want you all to think about that. So for any mainstream publication, let alone a dietitian, to pretend that ultra-processed foods are anything other than absolutely terrible, and our country and our world would be better off drastically reducing consumption of ultra-processed foods, to pretend anything otherwise is highly dangerous. And I would suggest that anyone who does so will have blood on their hands, because this is not a topic to be taken lightly. And what I really don't get is, with all of the star power out there, let's think about someone like President Obama. All it would take would be one speech or one article about this subject to initiate the wheels of change to start moving. I mean, President